Alright, so I've got myself a little bit of an interesting topic here, and it's definitely an interesting one because those of you watching Farming with Chef Matt are probably curious about tractors and whatnot, and I'm going to cover how to save you all a very large sum of money. Not just up front, but in the long run, too. It's not about what dealerships are in your area. Everybody wants you to believe it's all about the dealership network. No. It's more about part availability than anything else. The part availability is what truly matters, because what good is it if you can't get the parts? Well, if you're a business like a farm and you need parts, you're at the mercy of the availability of parts. So, I live in a decent area for tractors. I honestly do, because as it relates to tractors and the like, I've got a lot of availability and options for tractors and how to get parts for them, because there's a machine shop literally about not even a half mile away from the dealership that can make literally any part. Any of them. You name it, they can make it. And the reason I say that you name it, they can make it is I went to high school with one of the gentlemen, Josh Bradley, really cool guy. And when I say he can literally make just about anything, I really do mean he can make just about anything. And he really is an awesome individual. And so let's discuss what exactly is the most important part about tractors. Well, there's three things you got to be aware of with tractors. Thing number one, they have a lot of high maintenance items. The loader, the lifter, the 3-point, everything is loaded with maintenance points. If you want your tractor to last a lifetime, hit that crap with a grease gun religiously. More religiously than you go to church and study the Bible. Actually, I hit it with the same intensity as church and Bible, but still, you got to be religious about your maintenance program. You got a lot of fatigue-prone components on a tractor. A lot of fatigue-prone parts on a tractor. And I can't even reiterate that enough. A lot of them. Every pin on your front loader, on the tractor, is a fatigue component, and it's also a wear component. The old adage of, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, is a really bad adage. I'm a strong believer in it's less expensive to get it replaced early than it is to wait till it just outright completely fails. Today's engines are very expensive on tractors and on pretty much any diesel. Now, the very important reason about what makes me bring up this whole thing about diesels and the expenses and this and that, and I'm going to be realistic here. Everything John Deere does, their man hours, that's a minimum of $500. The parts bills or a $500 minimum. And the guy at the parts counter works hand in hand with the salesman. Little tip here, there are places that specialize in hydraulic hoses that do not have a parts minimum. They don't have minimums at all. They will sell you the parts. You come in, hey John, I need a part here. The part I need is, I need a 1/2-inch diameter hydraulic hose with a 1/2-inch fitting on it, NPT, for my John Deere. He'll go, how long? And you tell him, this long, and you take the hose, you set it on the counter, he'll take it back there, he'll get it exactly right. Boom. In, out, in record time for under $500 for one part. Now, general rule of thumb here. If you replace one hose, replace them all. Across the board, replace them all. And just keep your hoses that are intact as spares. You never know when that spare part is going to save your bahookie. Because in the world of equipment, you need to make sure you have spare parts on hand in the long run. For example, you go to Spokane House of Hose, do yourself a huge favor. Take all your hoses in and go, I need 2 sets of these hoses. He'll say, he may ask you, are you sure you want to get 2 full sets of hoses? Understand this, people. If you can afford to get 2 full sets of hoses, do it. Please do it. And you do have the right to take your parts home with you that you brought in. John Deere doesn't want you doing that because they want to make it look as though they actually replaced the component, but they didn't. How do I know this? They're as bad as Napa. Yeah, they sell a lot of tractors and whatnot, but understand this. The tractor is only as good as the guy doing the maintenance on it. And in all honesty, it's not that difficult to put a hose on a tractor. You put a little Teflon tape around it, where when you hold the end of the hose, you go clockwise around the end as you're facing it. Not 2 to 3 wraps. And then you thread it in. You're good to go. Just make sure your Teflon tape doesn't go, it covers all the threads but does not go past the tapered end. You want it on the tapered end but not past it. That's a critical detail, people. And one of the reasons I'm explaining this stuff is people need to know it. They need to know it. If you've got a tractor, this advice will only help you. Also, I'm not sure if you all noticed, but I'm now recording with a headset. And I appreciate when you all give me feedback on trying new things and stuff. And that's another thing you'll need on a tractor if you're going to be doing a lot of communicating, is a headset like what I'm wearing. Just over one ear. Nothing fancy, just do a wired thing for your phone and you can call your workers and talk straight with them in a group phone call. And it's not that difficult. It really is not. Anyways, continuing on. Some tips, tricks, and techniques with loaders is, anything that's got wear components and whatnot. Don't be afraid to shoot video as you disassemble them, and that video you can put it in editing software, and there's a method of reversing the footage so you can see how it all goes back together. There are shear pins, there are shear bolts, there are this and that are designed to shear to protect components. Also, when you're pulling the pins from your loader or your backhoe implement or whatever you've got, it's a great time to see how your lubrication practices are. Like if you're noticing a lot of wear on your pins, you need to step up your lubrication frequency on that. And I'm not saying this to sell you more tubes of grease. I'm saying this because it's the truth. You'll thank me later. And what I prefer to do as Chef Matt Hammerschmidt is assist those in keeping their hopes, their dreams, and their farms going. Whether you've got a compact tractor or a subcompact, whether you got a quarter acre all the way up to hundreds of acres, even thousands of acres, I can tell you for a fact, you'll thank me for all this advice later on in life. Because there's a lot of things that come into play. You can have a 1,000-acre hayfield. I personally do not recommend that idea whatsoever because that's a giant hayfield. You look at that, that's a field that'll make you sleepy just trying to mow it. And that's the reason a lot of farmers will literally segment a 10,000-acre piece of land into like 20 acres in fields and whatnot, is so that they can visually see their progress. Because you look at the field and all you see is this ginormous big open field off over to your left or to your right or whatever. You're just going circles and circles and circles just trying to get it done. I'm not saying it's impossible. I'm saying it's going to be really depressing because it's really easy when you're cutting that much grass to actively feel like you're not making any progress for a very long time. 1,000 acres is 1 2/3 square miles, people. And it really amazes me at how many people make a lot of mistakes on farm because they're just operating too tired. I've done it a time or two myself, but my goodness. You got to understand that there's a lot of rhyme in the reason just to me saying this. Your maintenance intervals, your maintenance schedule, it's got to be on point. It's got to be there, your vehicles are only as good as your maintenance practices, right? So many people are like, oh, I can get a couple more miles out of it. Oh, it's no big deal. Get it changed early. Oil's cheap, engines are not. You look at your engine and you look down at your belts and stuff, you see your belt cracking. Get it replaced. Check the pulleys and stuff. Make sure that the bearings aren't so worn that they're cockeyed. And general maintenance stuff here, people. It's not that difficult. It's just, you can say whatever you want here, but I'm an experienced mechanic. I've been wrenching on vehicles since 4 years old. And I can honestly say, here at 26, I still wrench on vehicles here and there. Whilst lately, the last few years, they've been few and far between, I still stay up on things, and I've come across quite a few vehicles in the last few years where people are dumping way more money than it's worth into the vehicle because they're too emotionally attached to it. I'm not saying to slough off on your maintenance. I'm saying that when it gets to a point where your vehicle is only worth like $100 and you're putting $200 in broken parts and it's being replaced into it a month, you've got a bullet wound there. You look at your trucks from the 90s and whatnot, they're now classics. There's a huge niche market in those things being restored. The IDI diesels, which is indirect injection, for those of you who are not familiar with it, those vehicles are worth a lot of money. Restoring them is easy. It's time consuming, but it's worth it. But, when you get a vehicle that's been beat on and to clunker junker anyway, you got to look at it executively, because from an executive standpoint, there's really that cost-benefit analysis. And I can honestly say that I really humbly encourage you to evaluate how well your maintenance program is actually working. When you're pumping dirty oil through your engine, that is literally liquid sandpaper. All those carbon particles, all the little metal bits and stuff, once your oil filter starts bypassing, and it does after a certain point, and I am definitely going to be more than happy to show you that stuff. Big trick I use is put on a rubber glove on one hand, take your dipstick and rub it across your finger. And then rub your fingertips together. If you feel any little chunks or bits in there, or it's not lubricating really well, change it out. If in doubt, switch it out. Change the oil filter. Never ever reinstall an old oil filter. Don't do it. Bad juju. Because that's how your oil got dirty in the first place. Do not do it. I never ever let my customers allow me to try to convince me to take that shortcut. I literally would state to them, I stated to them every time, you want to save like $5 on an engine that costs $30,000 to rebuild. You make about as much sense as, well, a broke individual who's got no money to spend. Which is what will happen if your maintenance is really piss poor on a tractor. And I thank you all for the time and the energy you put into watching this video and this thing of sorts. And I certainly do hope that the sound quality is a lot better on my videos from here on out. Understand this, I do have some older videos that I'm uploading as well, here and there on my other channels. I encourage you to check out my Chef Matt Hammerschmidt channel. I encourage you to check out my Matt Hammer Tech channel. I also encourage you to check out Fab and Tech for hauling, towing, and recovery. That's a really fun channel that I'm putting together. I also encourage you to check out Towing Help, which I'm preparing to rename. I will alert you of the new name, and I will put that update in the description once I've changed it. but it's not going to be too outrageous. And I encourage you all to also check out my one of my sister channels. It is LEM1165. There are no spaces in there. He and I met several years back, and well, several years. I mean, pretty much as long as I've been alive. Comes with the territory, but hey, it is what it is. Thank you all, and we ask that you all take very good care of your equipment. We also ask that you be safe out there. These winter conditions. I was out in the winter storm yesterday. It was just pure brutal. Thank you. Have a good one. And we'll see you sometime down the road. Also, I'm going to be doing a meet and greet on... See, I'm going to do it on January 18th. That's a Saturday. And that is going to be in Spokane at the plaza. Understand this, security is really thick at the plaza. For those of you who don't know what the plaza is, it's the main connection point for the STA. There is very little parking in the area. Just jump on a bus and check it out. I'm going to be there Saturday the 18th from 1 o'clock, from around 1 to around 3, maybe 4. Thank you all. Have a beautiful day, and God has blessed us with a great video, and God has also blessed us with a beautiful day today. Have a good one. We'll catch you later.